everybody. My name is Brina, and I'm from the Adaptive Outdoor Education Center, and I'm here to teach you a little bit about yoga and constellations. So, a constellation is a group of stars that, to the eye, form an outline or a pattern, and constellations often represent an animal, a mythological person or creature, or an object. Do you have a favorite constellation? What does it look like? Just like yoga, the origins of constellations go way back. So for this activity, we will learn about 5 different constellations, and we will try 5 different yoga poses to go with each one. So let's take a look and see what constellations we can find.
If you haven't already, feel free to pause the video and go grab a comfy blanket or a towel or even a yoga mat to put on your floor. If you're ready to get started, we're going to talk about our first constellation. And that constellation is one of the easier ones to find in the sky. It's called Cassiopeia, and that also means the Queen. So if you look up in the sky and you look for a constellation in the shape of an M, or depending on how you're looking at it, it might look like a W. And in Greek mythology, this constellation was named after an infamous queen who liked to brag about her beauty. And legend has it that this queen boasted so much about her beauty, she thought that she was even more beautiful than the sea or the ocean itself. For the god of the sea, his name was Poseidon, this made him quite angry. Can you see why it made him angry? So, we're going to stand up nice and tall, just like this very proud queen. To do this, we can either start with one leg in front of the other, resting on the ground. Or, if you want a little bit more of a balance challenge, you can take that leg over the other, and we're going to balance on one foot. No matter where you are, here or here, we're going to take one arm and put it on top of the other. See how proud we're standing? Nice job. We'll hold it here. Big deep breath in. And let it out. Now we'll switch sides. So cross that leg and balance on the other foot, or lift it a little higher. This time, we'll take the other hand on top of the other and sit up nice and tall like a proud, beautiful queen. Nice job. Breathe in and out. Great. Now we'll try that in the seated position. All right, we're going to take the Cassiopeia constellation pose from sitting down. So start with one leg and cross it over the other. Sit up nice and tall. Take that same arm on the same side and stack it on top of the other, sitting up like a proud queen. Good. Now let's try the other side. Switch legs. Same arm on top. And sit up tall. Good work. Now for our next constellation. This one is called the CRUX, or the Southern Cross, and it looks like a cross or a T. So just like a cross, it has 4 points, we're going to use our hands and our feet to be those 4 points. So we will take our legs nice and wide to make the first part of the cross. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. Now to get a little bit of a stretch, we're going to lean over. One direction. Nice job. And back to center. We'll switch sides. Good. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, we're going to take 1 point up in the air. So, little bend in those knees. We'll reach out with 1 point, plant our second point, and we'll lean over to lift that leg. How long can you hold this pose? Careful, back to center. Let's try the other way. Be careful. Is this side easier or harder than the other? Now let's try it seated. The CRUX constellation is one of the smallest constellations in the sky. So we're going to make ourselves very small by sitting in a chair and make it just as tricky to find in the sky. So if you're taking this pose seated, you can still take those legs a little bit wider. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. And we'll lean over. Nice. Over to the other side. Can your fingers touch the ground? Good job. Our third pose in constellation is Orion, also known as the Hunter. And this one is one of the more popular constellations because of its location. It can be visible throughout the world. And if you'll notice, this constellation is named the Hunter because it looks like there's a bow and arrow. So, what do you think? Is a hunter big and noticeable? Or is a hunter small and hidden? It's small and hidden. So we're going to get as low and discreet as possible. So we'll take it to the ground. And it's sort of like a lunge. So we are going to stay on one knee. Hands are under your shoulders. And we're going to crouch forward with our other leg. And lean in to get nice and small towards the ground so our prey can't see us. Take a deep breath here. Good job. Now let's switch sides, even it out. Step it forward with the other leg. Knee is planted. Hands are under your shoulders, not out in front. So we're nice and balanced. And we'll lean it forward. Move your hands if it's more comfortable. You should feel the stretch right here. We'll get nice and low. Good work. If you're Orion and you want to get low as a hunter, you can also do this seated. So we'll take one leg out in front, and if you need to scoot forward in your seat, you can, so you can reach the ground. One leg in front, and we'll lean it forward, hiding so they can't see us. Breathe in here. Feel a stretch along the back of your leg. Don't forget to switch sides. Good. Let's see what's next. Our fourth constellation is called URSA Major. Have you ever heard of the Big Dipper? Although the Big Dipper is not a constellation, it's a cluster of stars that helps to find the direction of north in the sky. And the Big Dipper is actually part of URSA Major. The other noticeable piece about URSA Major is that it looks like a bear. So we're going to get into a bear pose because URSA Major is also called the Great Bear. So to get into our bear pose, we're going to get on all fours. Just like we're a bear on the ground. But different than a bear, there is a line of stars that goes beyond the bear's body in this constellation. So to be that line of stars, we're going to use our leg or our knee to get there. So, outstretch one leg, lean into your hands, and we're going to lift it as high as we can into the sky. You can bend your knee or keep it straight. We'll hold it here for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Back to that bear pose. If it feels good, shake out those wrists. And now we'll switch sides. Stretch out that line of stars. Lean into your hands and lift towards the sky. Are you bending or are you straight? Either way works. 3, 2, 1. Another way to do the Great Bear pose is to be on your elbows and to lift your knee off the ground instead of your whole leg. So it might look like this. Bear pose on all fours. Rock it to the elbows. And we'll shift our weight onto one side just a little bit. The weight on one elbow and one knee. Then we'll lift the other side just a little bit so it's just off the ground. Good. Now we'll switch sides. Lift your weight and lift that leg as high as it feels comfortable. And down. And that's the Great Bear pose. Our fifth and final pose in Constellation is called Canis Major. Have you ever heard of the word canine to describe a dog? That's why Canis Major is also known as the Great Dog. Do you remember Orion, the hunter? Well, Canis Major is known as Orion's hunting dog, which is why he's a great dog. Let's get into our great dog position. Back to the floor. Instead of having our arms underneath our shoulders, this time we're going to stretch out a little bit. So reach for the top of your mat. Send those knees a little farther back and curl those toes under. And we're going to slowly lift our knees and straighten our legs. If you send it back a little more, this is called the Great Dog pose. If you feel like walking the dog, you can bend those knees. Very good. If you want to try a different variation of this pose, we'll keep our legs on the ground. So you can uncurl those toes, sit in your knees, and we're going to reach it forward, crawling like a dog. And you can rest your head on the mat. Breathe in and out. You can lift your head and crawl it back up.